then I've got players now that are really, it's almost like I've trained them to really pay attention to what my descriptions are, because I'll try very hard to describe precisely what you see with the intricacies of a creature. If I bring out, say, a Warforge, and I'll describe the Warforge as it has a certain metal plating, it has like these energy coils that you can see moving through it. Immediately now I'll get players that go, they're made of metal, heat metal. And that should do something, right? Because they're made of metal. And if I describe that you can see, oil pumping through them. Oh, I want to fire. I want to throw fire in there and see if I can blow that up. If they have electrical currents and they actually shoot lightning, oh, they shoot lightning. Maybe lightning won't be as effective. They're going the Pokemon way. If it can fire lightning, then lightning will not be effective as much against it. And then when I describe the creatures, if I know that I'm describing, say, a black dragon, and this black dragon has different colored scales, or maybe it has a different breath weapon. If there's a certain difference about how this creature behaves, I'll try to at least drop hints that they're different. Or I'll try to drop hints that, it has bony spurs across its back that are coursing with lightning. But it's a black dragon. And try to call attention to that difference. And that might also then inform the players to say, can I discern based on what I see, is its breath different? Do I think it would be, do I think that this element would be more effective versus this one? And they'll start asking those questions more effectively if I do a better description, a more keen description that's more specific, and I call attention to those differences in creatures. They will ask the questions a lot more consistently. And whereas if I'm more vague, I get a lot more questions like, can I just roll to see what its weakness is? And it's a lot. That's a lot less interesting. I know they're trying to get to a goal, but it almost, by me being vague, they can be vague. Whereas if I'm a little more specific, then they target those things that I was specific about.
And the ultimate question, with that thing in particular with descriptions, is how do you create an environment where you're rewarding your players for listening to your description? That's ultimately, so instead of punishing them for not, how do you reward them to do it? So for me, like, Dragon Quest is like the ultimate example of this, where Dragon Quest does an amazing job at each action resolution of having a story description and a mechanical description, right? So for example, it would be like, the dragon spews blistering hot breath, you take 46 points of damage, So for me, when it comes to a description like that, there's like a flowery description for story reasons, but then I to really nail it home, bullet points of what the important things are. So if we use your example of the black dragon, it would be like, describe the big thing, describe everything, and then at the end it'd be like, all right, so lightning on its back, spiny thing, electricity coming out of its breath, so that way you're not hiding the details that matter within details that don't, because that's the other thing is you'll reward them for listening to your description if they can mechanically leverage the description that you give. Otherwise, you're saying that the description ultimately doesn't matter because it's not going to affect the game state at all, and it's not going to have further impact on the story. It's just a description.
I found that I've but I have done those bullet points with when I run the Grey Owls Discord, and or Night Owls Discord, and when I run Grey Owls Discord. It's that group, it's that style of play that I'll give a description like in Roll20 and in the chat, and then reiterate it either vocally or in Roll20 of mechanically. That's what you notice as well. Like, here's the cool thing of all the story and the narrative thread, and then these are the points of that.
Thank you so much for listening to some of our podcast highlights. This podcast is part of the Darkmoor Podcast Network. If you want to support the content creators, feel free to visit our Patreon. And please, game responsibly.